Hi, this is Gene Acasella from Port St. John, Florida, and you're listening to the Really Big BBQ Central Show.
Happy to have you aboard here for the Really Big BBQ Show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to. Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Sean Bono! It's all about the Sean Bono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate Twinkies or wiener.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. Welcome aboard here. You found the BBQ Central Show. We talk about barbecue-related items. If you've missed the first hour, what could possibly have been more important? I'll let it slide this time. Luckily, I'm recording, so you can get this show on podcast starting in about an hour from now. Actually, 2 hours from now. All whole day tomorrow, though, of course. The segment brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring or connect via the Bluetooths. And if you have Alexa or the Google Assistant, you're at home, you're in luck because Fireboard is fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. That's 816-945-2232. Let me tell you, I have a Fireboard. I've had it for a long time. And for the majority of that long time, it sat in a drawer. I hate to say that. And then I decided this day I am going to use it. And then I set it up, and it was as easy. That was the other thing. A lot of times you hear this is easy to set up, or it takes no time to get up and running right out of the. And then you really get down to it, and you start putting 2 and 2 together. It's not.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Fireboard says super easy. Hook it to your home network in like 5 seconds, but you're up and running in no time flat. 100% the truth. I took it out of the box. I turned it on. It found my network. I put the password in. The little box was ready to go where you plug all the inputs in. I got online, made the quick account. Now I can see it graphing on my computer. It's running in the background. It's hooked to the LAN. It couldn't have been simpler. And I have 3 inputs plus a pit temperature probe if I want to use one. And I still have room for 3 other probes. You can load it out with 6 total. So I guess that would be 2 other 3. I have 2 internals and a ambient pit temperature probe. It's so easy. It's accurate. I did test it in boiling water, of course, which I highly recommend that you do. Even if you have the thermopens and all that crap, boil water once a month, stick them in there, make sure they're reading 212. Make sure that sometimes they get out of calibration, and if you don't check it, you don't know. Word to the wise, check it. If you haven't done it in a while, check it like tomorrow or before the weekend or before your next cook so you don't screw it up. But I'm telling you, unsolicited, this time unsolicited. When I was reading the read, they were paying me to do that, but this is unsolicited. If you don't have a Fireboard and you're looking for a reliable, automatic, like remote thermometer that you can use your computer with, that comes with a really intuitive app that logs, notes, you can do all this, plus 6 inputs. You can literally measure 6 internal meat temperatures differently, or 6 all with one. If you have a huge cut of lion, you can stick 6 different temperature probes in that cut of lion and monitor all 6 at the same time. It's so nice, so easy, well worth the money. Great Christmas gift if you haven't thinking about. This is something that I feel very passionate about now because, as I had said, when they sent me one, and I didn't pay any money for it, but when they sent me one, I chucked it right in the drawer because I was a little worried about how hard it was going to be to set up. And so it sat there for months, and then I decided to give it a try because I thought about maybe I would talk shit about it, but lo and behold, it's magic. It's so easy. You got to go get it. I'm telling you right now, if you are asking for something for Christmas, or if you're looking for a gift because you think you have everything, and if you don't have a fireboard, go to your lover, your wife, whatever, girlfriend, same-sex lover, whatever you like, and say, hey, person, I want a fireboard this year. You will thank me later. You will thank me. So easy, so versatile, super easy to set up. I can't believe how easy it was to set up. I'm on a tangent here, but let me tell you something. Still to come on this show tonight, it is the fourth Tuesday of the month. That's the Embedded Correspondents. Thank you. Don't forget, you can follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok at BBQ Central Show for all of those, / BBQ Central Show on Facebook if you want to do that thing, no problem. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this Friday. If you can believe it, we are episode 95. That means, if my math is correct, 5 weeks from now, we will be at episode 100. Episode 95, however, takes you back to October 20th, 2015, so almost 4 years to the day, actually a little over 4 years to the day. And first part is a barbecue roundtable, and I hate to admit this, but I am not going to lie about it. We had Robin Lindars on this competition or on this roundtable. We had Bill Minahan. By the way, from a nostalgic standpoint of the show, Bill Minahan, who was on the show, I don't know if it was semi-regularly, but he had been on a couple times. What a great personality Bill was. I don't know how we lost contact, or maybe he just got out of barbecue, or maybe I just stopped reaching out. I don't know. A lot of things transpired during the course of the show. But when he was on, a great ball of energy and always had a take and not afraid to share it. He was a great guest. And then Chad Warren. And here's where I need to apologize. I don't know who Chad Warren is anymore.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Chad Ward or Chad Warren? John, send me a message immediately. Is it Chad Warren in the best stuff? Because I don't know who Chad Warren is anymore. I apologize, Chad, if it is Chad Warren. If it's Chad Ward, I know who Chad Ward is, and he don't know me anymore.
Get that big stuff out of here.
If it's Chad Warren, I apologize. I just don't remember 4 years ago. Why do I know him, John? Why did I have him on? Boy, I hate to say that, but you talk to so many people, and he just falls through the cracks. My humble apologies, Chad. My humble apologies. So that's the first part of the best moments. Then in the second part, Daniel Vaughn also stopped by to talk about being the Texas Monthly barbecue editor. All right, now I have to stall because I was going to do one story before we get into the Embedded Correspondence segment, but now I want to share a different story with you because I just mentioned Daniel Vaughn. If you are on social media, maybe you did see this, maybe you didn't see this, but there's a account called BBQ Confessions or BBQ Confessionals, and while I cannot say that when I was watching or reading this guy, he said that he was going to take the account down after this, but basically he finds names in the industry to give barbecue confession. And here's one from Texas Monthly's barbecue editor Daniel Vaughn, and I quote, "Far away from home in the Big Bend region, I was filming with Kelsey Probisky for Barbecue Quest as a co-host. We had just got done with our first of 3 days of shooting, hadn't eaten any barbecue that day because we were saving it for the last 2 days. At dinner that night in Alpine, we all ate the same thing, except I had a salad with my chicken fried steak, which is what I'm guessing got me sick. Back at the hotel, I woke up at 2 a.m. with the sudden urge to use the bathroom, which is never a good thing. I was up all night puking, had diarrhea, had to meet the crew at 6 a.m. to drive to the first location as we got to Convenience West in Marfa Midtown after shooting background scenes for the show. I hadn't eaten all day. and was hydrating as much as I could. I held down the puking, but it was definitely not. But I was definitely not farting with confidence. Not farting with it. We sit down at a large tray of food. I realized the way the producers wanted to shoot this was to have us eat everything on the tray. Not clean the tray, but a piece here or a piece there. Shoot it a couple times, so I'm forcing a smile like I'm feeling good about it. As I look hungry, as hungry as I can for barbecue. Got done, headed back to the hotel for a night of vomiting. For the night, vomiting stopped, but still had diarrhea. Next morning, wake up, blah, blah, blah. Take a picture with the whole crew and Dodd Buckman, DB's owner. The sun hits me in just the right way, and I sneezed. There's a code. You tell the production staff that you need a bathroom break very quickly. Since there's no bathroom inside DB's, I had to jump in one of their vehicles, drove down to the gas station. At the gas station bathroom, I immediately threw away my underwear in the trash, cleaned up best I could, sprayed my shorts with Febreze that was there. Changing clothes was not an option since we needed continuity from shot to shot, and we had the same outfits on. Hopped back to the car and headed back to the shoot. We made it through the rest of the shoot, got back in my car, drove 7.5 hours back home to Dallas. How about that? Daniel, out of all the times you've been on this show, that's a story you didn't want to talk about or bring up? That's a barbecue confession right there. Sneezed and crapped his pants. Sick, by the way. Like, he was sick, not... I mean, it is gross, but he was sick. Sneezed, crapped his pants, left to go to the gas station. Freshened up best he could, and to stay consistent, stayed with the same clothes, which was ballsy. And then drove 8 hours home after the fact. Wow, we got to ask him about that next time, no doubt. We're leading with that, Daniel. Hopefully this doesn't get back to him. We have the embedded correspondence coming up. I will talk to you quickly about Southside Market and Barbecue. Established in 1882, they make some of the best sausage and Central Texas barbecue available today. Owned for 3 generations by the same family. It's the oldest barbecue joint in Texas. They ship nationwide. All meats processed on the USDA-inspected facility, a trusted partner with a focus on quality and authenticity. Wholesale options available right now, shipping nationwide via FedEx or through food distribution channels like Sysco, U.S. Foods, and Martin Foods. Co-packaging capable from research and development to package completion. They can also follow your recipes or help you develop something new. Private label opportunities also available. Visit SouthsideMarket.com. That's SouthsideMarket.com. And when you order, use code BBQ Central, all one word, lowercase, BBQ Central. Get 10% off your entire order. This time, the next time, and the time after that. Just keep going. 10% off, BBQ Central. We are back with the embedded correspondence. Stick around, be right back.
The only show giving you a monthly visit from a doctor of barbecue, a man actually named Meathead, the author of a barbecue Bible, bloggers, reviewers, competitors, and manufacturers by the dozens. It's the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Smithfield. That's right. Hey, did you know that Smithfield's National Championship is getting ready to come off here in a couple weeks. All the teams have been invited. Everybody's ready to rock and roll. So, hey now, go to smokingwithsmithfield.com for all the deets if you are not familiar with that. Also, check back to that website every now and again. You never know what's going to be happening out there, but can't wait to see how the first annual National Barbecue Championship goes down in New Orleans. 3 days of cooking, I believe. So you have that to look forward to in the next couple weeks. It is the fourth Tuesday of the month, and that's all I really need to say. It's the Embedded Correspondents segment. And we have Steve Ray from Ooltewah, Tennessee. We have John Solberg, top right in Michigan. We have the longest-ranging correspondent, Doug Scheiding in Texas, bottom left. And there's David Huff in Oklahoma, right there on the bottom right. Gentlemen, appreciate you making time, as always, as we do it here once per month, towards the end of each and every month, and a lot of topics to get to. Right off the bat, John Solberg from Michigan, a quick recap, if you have any. By the way, can I do this? No, I can't do that. All right, I'm going to get to it. Your backdrop is magical, John. I mean, it is. You might have a more professional-looking backdrop than me, and that is hard to do. By the way, Steve is running a very close second, although it's a magical backdrop. It's a magical backdrop. I love it. What did you do? How do you have it set up there, John?
I have a sound enclosure around this to try to drown out the other noise while I'm recording the Best Moment show. So just basically a couple sound baffles behind me on three sides. Oh. There's like 3 inches of mineral in these walls behind me and a couple bass traps in the corner just for effect. I have no idea why it's blurry. It's not. I got to figure that one out.
You don't know why it's blurry?
No, that's a toggle that's switched off. So.
Oh well, I think it looks, the color looks very warm and inviting. That's what I'm trying to say here. I really don't know what the fascination with the blurry background is with these cameras all of a sudden. Like, you guys got cameras, and then I'm not talking about you, John, specifically, and Doug, or I think David has never used the blur, which I certainly appreciate. But for instance, I was just talking with Steve a couple hours ago. There was no blur, and he has decided to just throw the blur back on again. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I could interject.
I didn't touch a thing.
If I could interject quickly, my blur was off, and when this call picks up, the blur turns on. I just went in and shut it off.
Am I blurry? Do I have a blurry background? Hold on.
No, there's a connection issue.
Do I have a blurry background? Am I blurred?
No.
Okay.
Am I blurred?
No, but it looks like you might have undone it.
I did, because it switched itself on after connecting to the call.
All right, so that's why
yours is on as well.
So Doug, you have yours on purpose, or you've been a victim?
I have no idea. It automatically switches on when on the call. You got to undo it.
All right, got it. So you're a victim, right, Doug?
Yeah, I have no idea how to switch it.
All right, yeah, no problem. All right, I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to yell at Steve 2 months in a row because
I appreciate that.
So that's why I just kind of fished it out there before I went ballistic.
I didn't want you yelling at me for Steve 2 months in a row.
That's right. So, all right, let me go back to you again, John. World Food Championships 2019, and I'm not going to ask you to break it down or do any of this stuff, but, and this is the same question for all you guys, just from a high level, is it on the radar? Is it off the radar? Is it like nowhere near the radar? What are your thoughts on World Food Championships?
I would love it to be on my radar, but I find it extremely difficult to follow. You can't keep up with it on a day-to-day basis. They don't update their social media sites, in my opinion. They never update the website. You can't figure out what's going on. It's just hard to follow. Their lives are difficult to watch and listen to. I'd love for it to be on the radar, but it can't be. Unless you have someone on the ground like Doug does, who's close and can feed us information. It's hard to follow.
What about you, David? David, are you on mute?
Yes, I am.
There you are.
Yeah, trying to cut out that heavy mouth breathing that I do.
No problem.
Yeah, I agree with what John said. Not only that, but I don't know. I don't feel like it gets the publicity, the marketing. It doesn't get the fanfare that some of the big barbecue contests do. And so I don't think it has the same following. I know that I don't think anybody around here knows about the World Food Championships the way they know about barbecue contests.
All right, Doug, your thoughts? World Food Championship?
Yeah, I mean, I was like John was saying in terms of them updating their website and even their social media, et cetera. I was learning more from just fellow IBCA members that were there and looking at their web pages, et cetera. So that's kind of how I've followed Jackie through it. You mentioned, David, in terms of big barbecue contests. Does anybody have an idea how many IBCA teams there were this year?
No.
Any guesses?
No.
28.
Is that a lot?
28. That sucks. That's terrible. Yeah. So, to give you a point of reference, the Waxahachie event that she mentioned, that's going to be up there, which is up near Dallas, is going to have over 300 teams.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's not like it's a locale kind of thing. It doesn't get the notoriety. And that was one of the reasons moving to Dallas, right? We all thought that they would get more IBCA type teams. So I didn't hear much about it other than I did talk to a couple people afterwards that told me a few details.
Doug, do you think from an IBCA standpoint that it's not being promoted to them to come out and cook it, or were you hearing conversations of saying, hey, I'm either going to do the World Foods or I'm going to do this competition? It's one or the other. Or were people not talking about World Foods at all?
Yeah, not many people were talking about World Foods. I mean, I know that they had 9 no-shows, is what I heard. So 9 out of 28 is pretty big. Jackie mentioned that a few things to work out, and she didn't have problems with move-in. The early birds that got there first, they had to wait 2.5 hours before they got their act together, and they could move them into different spaces. And so they just didn't have it, well thought out. I did hear that attendance, that the attendance was almost non-existent. Wasn't that one of the reasons that they moved to Dallas as well? I heard it was blamed on the Dallas Cowboys game and the state fair. But I do have one interesting piece of information. I heard that Johnny Trigg did not actually cook his meat, that he had a hired gun cook his meat.
Do you have any way to prove that?
This came from a very reliable source that was at the contest and said it was J.D. Henley. He was one of the top cooks.
J.D. Henley was the one that was doing the cooking for Johnny Trigg.
That is what I heard.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. All right. Well, that's a bit of salacious news there coming out of the Trigg camp. Just another reason why he will never talk to me again, as we're talking about it here on the show. Do you think he would admit to that if asked?
I heard that they were trying to kind of keep things on the down low, but that's why the source will remain.
All right, I know somebody that I can ask about that at a later date, and I will confirm back to you on that. Then we'll
confirm, please.
All right, Steve, let me get your thoughts on World Food Championships and how you think it's operating.
Well, I still love them. I don't understand the problem with y'all finding. I found all kinds of information on the website. It was updated daily. It wasn't updated minutely, but it was updated every night. There's a real nice synopsis of it. And anybody know where the final table is? It's on the website. Anybody know where the final table is in the spring?
Like where the location is? Where the location is?
Yeah, final table 2020.
I have no idea. Everybody's shaking their head now.
What's your favorite city?
Chicago.
No, your other favorite city.
Cleveland. Cleveland.
No. You've got to know there's another favorite city. You love it.
New York City.
No.
What?
Indianapolis.
That's my favorite city.
I know that.
All right.
That's where it is, 2020. And guess what? It was right on the website.
Really?
With all the winners. Hey, you know what I thought was weird, though? World barbecue champion Ryan Murphy cooked. The winning dish was Wagyu steak dinner. The world steak champion Ryan Hegland, winning dish Tomahawk Wagyu ribeye. Isn't that weird?
It's all steak, right?
Barbecue it just doesn't fit this concept. I'm sorry. It just does not fit. I don't care who cooks what, how many teams. I thought they had like 60-some teams in the IBCA competition, Doug. I thought they had like 20-something in the EAT and 60-something in the IBCA.
I was told 28 with 9 no-shows. And a couple people that had qualified didn't cook the IBCA that had already qualified in the EAT.
I saw that. I thought I saw it. Maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't fit this. It's a very exciting event. The kitchen is wonderful. I went 2 years ago. I would have loved to have gone back again. And if I ever do get to go back again, it won't be for barbecue. It will be for some steak, hamburger, sandwich. Mm-hmm. And you know what won burger too? And you'll love this, Greg. Guess what kind of burger won?
Wagyu burger.
No.
Bubba Burger.
George Mode, Smash Burgers.
Smash. He won that?
No, he did. But James Cheek from Muscle Shoals, Alabama did.
Right.
With the hometown Smash Burger as the winner.
Smash Burger. All right. Well, that's great.
How about that?
Well,
it was on the website, John. John, it was on the website.
I'm torn here because I think so. If you go to here's the problem. If you go to the website, there's a large landing page. There's a lot of big, colorful buttons. And what you want to see is in colorfulness or just blinking and jumping up and down like a flashing red. 2019 results, but it's not there. Where it is all the way at the top in very little letters. It says 2019 results. It's very small, above all the color, all that stuff, and then you can find the results. That's really got to be addressed because you look over it, you're excited when you get on the page, you're like, I got to find this, I got to find that. But it's just in the very, very small top letters right above all the other colorful stuff where it says results or like an event, an exhibit, and all this other crap. So that needs to be addressed. I found a lot of information through their Facebook page. I guess the only problem that I have is there just seems to be such a download of information on their Facebook page that if you're not there as it happens, it can quickly get lost through the scroll. And like I'm somebody that refuses to scroll for anything. Like if it doesn't show up after I do the mouse button once, I'm on to the next thing. So I don't know how you rectify that situation, but there is a overwhelming amount of information on their Facebook page, and it's all the time and every day, and this person's a new sponsor, and this is the person of charity, and this person's going to be featured and is going to be cooking. I mean, Steve, you would agree that there is a huge amount of info that's being pressed through that Facebook page, right?
Oh, enormous amount. And the Facebook Live things are weird because it cuts in. You don't know what they're talking about. I would cut those out. I don't think they do much to enhance the coverage of it, unless they want to, dedicate a Facebook page to a full day where you can come in and come out instead of them coming in and coming out to your feed.
All right, that's going to do it for World Food Championships. Now, let's get to the topic at hand. Gang, we've been practicing for this. We've been consuming for this. We've been generating reviews for this, and it was supposed to happen last month, but obviously it didn't for good reason. And this is what appears to be a fast food love affair with the brisket. Specifically, brisket sandwich, which really from a old school or traditionalist sense, brisket isn't a sandwich, right? You go to the barbecue shop and you say, I want a pound of this, and they slice it and they put it on a tray, and maybe there's some pickles and onions or jalapenos or whatever. Get a side of beans. And you sit down and you pick the meat up and you put it in your mouth. Maybe you get some white bread on the side, but has anybody ever seen anybody use white bread on a friggin' barbecue tray? I have never seen it. It's like Ike Barinholtz once said, here, let me give you many slices of 10-cent bread on this 24-hour piece of meat that I smoked. I don't understand the white bread on the barbecue tray. But it's not a freaking sandwich, right? So Subway had recently come out with their Subway authentically smoked brisket sandwich. And I said, well, this has got to be it. Gentlemen, please go to your local Subway and get this Subway brisket sandwich and evaluate. And we're going to talk about it on the Embedded Correspondents site. Then I said, not only that, go to your Arby's, because Arby's has had brisket on their menu for years now. It was originally a special sandwich, the brisket smokehouse sandwich. that has made its way onto the regular menu, unless I'm completely off base there. But every time I go, it's on there. And I said, get the brisket smokehouse sandwich, get the Subway sandwich, eat them both, make notes, and then we'll compare, contrast, and potentially pick a winner here on the Barbecue Central Show. So, David Huff, you are a budding YouTube star. You have a palate that is second to many. So, tell me about your experience with Subway sandwiches first, and that's how we will go around. We'll do Subway first.
Well, I sure like the field assignment of the thermometer and the steaks a hell of a lot better than the Subway sandwich, I'll tell you that
this
much.
is funny, David, that you mentioned that. This is almost like when we evaluate barbecue pitmasters. Everybody hated the version when they followed all the teams around because nobody won. But then in the second season, when that douche took over as host, and then everybody was like, oh, this is the worst ever. We want to go back to... nobody liked taking thermometers to restaurants. I think one of my other guests said that I was a douche for doing that, by the way. But now, all of a sudden, it was a great idea. But I love how we have revisionist history. But anyway, go ahead, Dave.
I didn't mind taking thermometers to the restaurant at all. That was fun. But the Subway brisket sandwich, best summed up like this. I brought mine home. I let my wife take a bite. She looked square at me and said, "That's not brisket." If my wife can point that out, that pretty much says all you need to know. It didn't look like brisket to me. If so, it looked like it was definitely sliced the wrong way. It looked pressed, a little chewy. I tried to get it without the barbecue sauce so I could actually taste the brisket itself, and I regretted that. It was one of those ones that should have been smothered in a good barbecue sauce. So... was not a fan of the texture, was not a fan of the flavor, was not a fan of anything about it.
Would you ever get it again?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. All right, John Solberg?
Well, I'm going to go right out of the gate. It was so bad, I did it twice. Because I thought maybe the first time was a mistake. So I drove 90 miles to another Subway and got another one. For me, it was so bad. Even the girlfriend, she couldn't swallow it. And that's pretty unusual.
We're talking about brisket, right?
We're talking about brisket. Of course we're talking about brisket. Where are you going with this, mister? It was, you know what? I actually ate the brisket. So if I had to score it, I'd score it at 2s across the board. I couldn't give it a 1.
Wow, wait.
There's no way I could but I'd score it 2 across the board only because I did swallow
it. Steve, your thoughts on Subway?
It was awful. Horrible. It was. I watched him make it. The brisket looked like sliced roast beef. Smoked cheddar. Who's ever put smoked cheddar on a brisket sandwich? It doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like that. It's that thin. It's that thin when you get it. It's all pressed. It's all bread. Subway. Everything they serve is all bread. They got little pieces of meat on it, and they got this huge bun. You eat it. You fill up on the bun. You know what these guys are doing? They're not looking to serve a good brisket sandwich. They're just looking to use the word brisket because it's so popular. It's brisket, Texas brisket. We cooked it for 14 days. We cooked it for this long. It's brisket. We have a guy that's in the back of the restaurant. That's all he does is cook brisket fries. Firehouse Subs has a brisket sandwich now. Firehouse Subs. Have you ever had one of their subs?
Never.
A brisket at Firehouse Sub. That's a tuna salad place. Okay. And then they got brisket. They just want to use the word brisket.
Yeah.
It's just like McDonald's wants to use the word ribs. Rib, the McRib, because we want to be on the barbecue train. But they're not interested in putting out a good product. They're interested in putting out the word brisket. And they did a good job because they wrote the word brisket on a poster. But when you get the sandwich, it tastes like shoulder clod on a hoagie roll.
Yeah, well, I have to agree with everybody here. Now, I am getting a dissenting review in the instant chat where John Dawson of Patio Daddy-O Barbecue does say that he ordered it, liked it, and it was actually cut to a 1/4 inch, if you can believe it. Hold on, Doug. I'm going to get to here in a second. So let's go to Doug for his review.
This just shows that Texas brisket is ingrained in the people down here. Y'all are crazy. I went got a 12-inch brisket sandwich, and I said, make it and he asked me what I wanted on it, right? Maybe I'll put all the wrong things on it. I said, make it how most people like it. He said, okay. So we put brisket, cheese. I left it to him. Green peppers, red onions, pickles, and a little bit of barbecue sauce.
Wow.
I thought it was actually very good. I liked the crunch of the pickles. The sauce actually complemented it. You could taste the meat. So it was tender. Yes, it was thin, but it was tender. It had a decent smoke flavor, and it even had a little bit of fat on it. I actually thought this would be a perfect thing. If you're on a road trip or driving or whatever, stop in at your Subway and get this sandwich and eat it on the road while you're driving. I actually thought it would be good for that, and I would definitely get it again.
Really? Look at Doug. Doug's last name has gone from Scheiding to Subway. Doug Subway on the show. Now, I will quickly review for me. I'm like 75% of you guys. It was perhaps one of the most horrific sandwiches that I've ever had in my life. The meat was retrieved from the cold bin where it was put in a cardboard boat and then sent into the microwave for a flash reheat. And I did not ask my sandwich artist, by the way. I used to be a sandwich artist, so I know what goes into it. And I wanted the full brisket experience. It's almost like when we talk about the Impossible Burger. And, how could the Impossible Burger really be that bad? I mean, the Impossible Whopper, I'm sorry. How could the Impossible Whopper really be that bad when it has ketchup and mustard and onions and pickles and tomatoes and all the other crap that goes on top of a hamburger? Because it's hiding the Impossible Burger part of the Impossible Whopper. Same thing goes here. If you're going to start putting on all the Subway crap that goes on every other Subway sub, well, then you're burying the lead, which is brisket. And that is, if you're any barbecue restaurant of your salt, you don't put brisket on the bottom of on anything. It's always above everything. That is the lead. That's what people want to come in and get. It's the hottest thing right now. It was super thin. It had a horrendously fake-looking smoke ring. It tasted not like brisket. And there were 2 freaking slices on a 6-inch sub. 2 slices. It was insulting. It was terrible. And it was demeaning to me and everybody in the barbecue community except Doug. And it should be out of the menu immediately. And by the way, if I may ask, Subway, who in the sweet fuck is Pitmaster Ramon? Steve, who's Pitmaster Ramon?
I have no idea.
John, who is Pitmaster Ramon?
I don't know, but I just logged this rant, by the way.
David, do you have any idea who Pitmaster Ramon is?
Yeah, he's just like the Pillsbury Doughboy, the Jolly Green Giant. He's any marketing icon that you want to believe something is authentic.
Now let's go to the most credible source here on this panel, Doug Subway, who must be bestest friends with Ramon the Pitmaster.
Well, he's been cooking for 38 years. If you read all the information, but so he must know what he's doing.
You know how many Subway restaurants are strewn across the country. I mean, this guy must never get sleep. Wowee. All right. Yeah. So Doug likes it. Everybody else does like. Now let's get on with Arby's Smokehouse brisket sandwich, and we'll start with David.
Well, first off, Doug also doesn't like hot dogs, as we know. So those two things combined makes me very much question his taste.
The longest running embedded correspondent and the first fired embedded correspondent.
That's not true. I've been fired multiple times already. So I thought the Arby. Now, I actually enjoy the Arby's sandwich, not because I believe it's a true brisket sandwich, but I believe the flavor of it, while not necessarily brisket, is very enjoyable. And it might have to do with everything else that's on it. I think the loaded one comes with like the fried onion straws and the cheese, and I like Arby's horsey sauce, that horseradish flavor. So I actually don't mind it for a enjoyable sandwich, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily a brisket sandwich either.
John?
I agree with David. I didn't taste brisket in there, but I thought it was a tasty sandwich. I thought it was good. I ate the whole thing, which wasn't my intention. And I'm an Atkins guy, so I paid that price all night for it. I probably wouldn't get another one, but I thought it was a good sandwich. But is it a brisket sandwich? That's debatable.
Steve?
It was just a little more tolerable than the Subway sandwich, but because it's got barbecue sauce smothered on it. It's got an onion ring. What can you imagine going down to Franklin's restaurant in Austin and say, put a couple onion rings on with that brisket? It doesn't happen. Weird piece of cheese. I don't know what was it. Provolone was on mine, I think. Greg, I sent you a video. I don't know if you watched it. It looked like a piece of provolone cheese or something like that. A lot of sauce on it, a lot of just icky old sauce, and that's what I tasted. I tasted the tangy sauce.
Stand by for this video.
Look at the inside, okay?
This is the Subway.
Looks juicy.
Does it look nice?
It looks nice. It looks juicy. Yeah.
A little juicy. All right. Yeah. Close her back up.
All right.
Let's get a picture of the Arby's. Open that top one. Yeah,
that is a weird piece of cheese.
An onion ring.
It's like
it's weird.
Rings that you call them. And
cheese. Can you open that cheese part? Let's get to the.
Let's get
to the meat.
Yeah, that looks tender as well.
Oh, it looks very.
It looks tender. I mean, you got Steve. In all honesty, you didn't seem like you hated that.
Well, no, I was just trying to describe it. It looks tender. It was real tender, but who knows what kind of meat it was? It looked like it tasted like an Arby's roast beef. It tasted like an Arby's ham sandwich. It tasted just like an Arby's turkey sandwich. It's got no distinguishable taste. Brisket has got its own wonderful meat, hard taste. And these sandwiches don't have that, and they're just passing it off as brisket. It's not. They could call it a roast beef sandwich, and people go, "Oh, it's a great roast beef sandwich."
All right, Doug, weigh in on the Arby's Smokehouse brisket sandwich.
Well, it was $9.73 when it came with a drink and curly fries, and I love curly fries, but mine did not have provolone, so mine had cheddar, just like the Subway, and it didn't have horsey sauce. And I do like the horsey sauce because that'll drown out almost anything. And in fact, that would probably be the only redeeming quality if they would have put horsey sauce on this sandwich. It was terrible. The barbecue sauce is way too sweet. I couldn't taste the brisket. And when I took a bite, mine had bacon on it. And when I took a bite, the bacon comes off in one strip, and it has sugar on it. And it was sugar on top of sugar. Too much bun to meat ratio, which is a cardinal sin in my book. And I could taste a little bit of either vinegar or perhaps liquid smoke in the brisket, and it was pretty tight. I did not like it at all.
Huh. Well, let me continue to be with the other 75% of the panel here. This was easily the most delicious brisket sandwich of the two that I had. Would I be looking to go fetch another one here after the show's over, or will I think about getting another one like anytime soon? Oh, probably not. But it was way more relatable to what I would consider to be barbecue between the two. There was way more than two freaking pieces on the Arby sandwich than there was on the Subway sandwich. There was a smoke flavor of some sort on the Arby's meat. And by the way, for somebody who is very, very discerning when it comes to barbecue sauce, I didn't think the Arby's barbecue sauce was really that bad, all things considered. So, and Doug, let's be honest here. When you're making food for the incredible masses, I mean, that sauce is going to win every time. I mean, just open up a bottle of any sauce on the grocery store shelf, and it's overly sweet, and it's pumped full of magic smoke crap and all that stuff. So it's not out of the thought process that they would probably go that route. But, I mean, this was, if we're rating, the Subway, for me, was like a 2, like John said, and then the Arby sandwich was probably going to be an 8. If we're like, there's that much discrepancy for me in between the two. If I had to go get another one of those, I would get the Arby's 10 times out of 10 versus the Subway, and I would not recommend the Subway where I would say, well, I mean, if you have an Arby's and you really want one, you won't die if you eat it. I can't say that about the Subway. You might die if you eat another Subway sandwich. All right. We, I believe, have unknowingly picked a grand champion barbecue sandwich from fast food. That is the Arby's sandwich. Go to Arbys.com and send them an email and tell them to sponsor the Barbecue Central show. Doug is completely against that, but that's fine. All right, so you guys hang out here just for 1 second as we have gone way long here, but that was well worth it. And we did it. We finally did it. We reviewed your fast food briskets. All right, let me talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grills. These are some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. There's 2 different lines to choose from. You have a classic line, which is what I have. Detective Corey has a classic line Green Mountain Grill. His brother has a classic line Green Mountain Grill as well. You also have a prime line of cookers, built on a little bit more of a robust chassis, peek-in windows on both cooking chamber and the pellet hopper. 2 internal meat probes instead of 1 that you'll get on the classic line, both pellet-driven. They have pellets right there at Green Mountain Grills if you want. They also have a bunch of other accessories that are really cool. Now, if you want something to take on tailgates or camping, look at the Davy Crockett 12-volt technology right there. So if you don't have access to a traditional power outlet, you can go ahead and work it through the 12-volt outlet in your car or adapter, whatever you want to call it. GreenMountainGrills.com is the place to go. Don't forget, if you have the Jim Bowie or the Daniel Boone, you can rip the guts out and get that pizza oven insert. And now it's a pizza party. GreenMountainGrills.com. That's GreenMountainGrills.com. We are back with more embedded correspondence right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by the Smoke Sheet. Keeps you in the know on everything happening in the barbecue world, including top news, events, recipes, and more. Started by Ryan Cooper and Sean Ludwig, and both of them travel around the country to find the best barbecue news and then report on it. You can sign up for the newsletter to see full events and results on their barbecue calendar at bbqnewsletter.com, a great all-in-one resource covering the live fire industry. As we rejoin our mates here for the Embedded Correspondents, Steve Ray, John Solberg, Doug Scheiding, and David Huff. Tennessee, Michigan, Texas, and Oklahoma, respectively. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and continue our Embedded Correspondence talk. Did anybody have anything to add on the fast food brisket sandwiches? Has anybody seen any new brisket sandwiches coming out that we need to try? Anybody? No?
It's not a sandwich, but I believe firmly that the Taco Bueno brisket tacos are the best fast food brisket out there. They're delicious.
Is that the name of the restaurant, Taco Bueno?
Yep. You don't have those up in Cleveland?
No, but I do know that means good taco in Espanol. Thank you. I am bilingual to a degree. All right, the next topic up for discussion is a term that seems to get thrown around like crazy anymore. It didn't really happen even 10 years ago when we were kind of getting this ball rolling in the Barbecue Central show, but now anywhere you go, sponsored this, sponsored that, I'm sponsored, they sponsored this for me, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know what the hell that word means anymore because, quite frankly, I think I'm sponsored to a certain degree, and I'm wondering if there isn't a exact definition or if we can all surmise one and we can then float it out to the consuming social media public tomorrow in hopes that we get them on the right track. So, Doug, you're a marketing guy to a certain degree, engineer, of course, smart guy. What do you think about this whole what is sponsored and sponsorship, and what does it mean to you?
The lines have become blurred. To me, I consider that I have both. To me, a sponsor or sponsorship is more like when you're an ambassador. It's a loose arrangement. You're getting free product. You probably have a few things. They're providing you things. You're tagging them. You're doing that. I'm liking it to social media. To me, the word sponsored means a little more from the standpoint of there's expectations in written format on both sides, and it's a contract. You're signed up as an agent. So you have obligations, they have obligations to you. They probably pay you money. They probably provide grills. They provide, sauces, rubs, whatever, along with cash. Cash and prizes like the World Food Championships. But anyway, I think so. Sponsorship is more of an ambassador. Sponsored is more of a written obligation between the two parties.
All right, Steve, your thoughts?
Exactly like what Doug said, and I made a list. A sponsorship is the most overused word in our sport. Most of them are helpers. And here's the difference. A sponsorship gives you money to enter the contest. A helper gives you a bottle of rub. So if you're getting a bottle of rub, you've got a helper. You don't have a sponsor. A sponsor insures the trailer for you. A helper gives you a bag of charcoal and a sticker for your trailer. A sponsor buys you cook shirts with product patches. A helper gives you a patch for your cook shirt. Sponsor pays you to show up and cook. Helper shows you where to park. Sponsors provide cleanup crews. Helpers are your teammates and or your kids. Most of the people are like what Doug said. I had the same word, ambassadors. It kills me. It absolutely kills me when we go to one of these little local yokel contests that we do, and Johnny Local Yokel comes out and says, well, my sponsor wanted me to come to this contest. Give me a break. He wanted you to show up in Ottawa? What did your sponsor want you to come to Ottawa, to Cambridge Square in front of literally tens of people and come in fifth in a 9-person contest? Are you kidding me? He wants you to do that? It's out of hand. If you're paying to enter the contest, in golf, when you enter a PGA tournament, you know how much it costs a golfer?
Zero.
$400 is entry fee on the PGA Tour. You think Tiger Woods has to pay that money? No. Nike's got the check already there. You think Bubba Watson's paying? No, he's not paying. Somebody else is paying for him. That's what sponsors do. They pay for you as you go. Now, if Tiger Woods is one, 453rd on the money list, he may get $50 from Titleist in a sleeve of golf balls. He's got a helper. He doesn't have a sponsor. There's a big difference. People calling themselves saying we're sponsored. They're being helped. They're not being sponsored.
John, your thoughts?
Can't agree with a lot of my two other ECs have mentioned. A sponsorship is, Dale Earnhardt Jr. It is Tiger Woods. It is like someone comes to them and goes, hey, we will give you money to put our name on your car or on your golf jersey or whatever you golfers wear. It's an agreement between two parties with an exchange of something. I do believe that something could be product, but a true sponsored person is looking for money. Rod Gray said years ago, getting sauce and rub will not put gas in the truck. So there's this fine line. Brand ambassador, that's another conversation. Take that right off the table. If someone sends me grill pens and makes me a brand ambassador, that means nothing. So sponsorship to me is some form of monetary exchange for some goods and services or appearances by the other party and getting exposure to that product.
David Huff?
I definitely agree that the line is blurred. Influencer, brand ambassador, sponsorship. I don't know that there's anything that distinguishes one from the other. I think you could say I'm sponsored by Bounty paper towels if they give you all the paper towels you need for your cooking contest. Or you could be sponsored by Snake River Farms if they give you briskets to cook and you don't have to buy them. But I also think you could be sponsored if somebody says, hey, I will pay you to go to 10 events, wear my name on your shirt, and doesn't matter where you place, just show up and be in front of the people and say that I am Huff Daddy Barbecue and I use such and such product. So the line, it is blurred. If you're asking to make something distinguished, I agree with what the guy said. Maybe the cash value could separate the difference. But as far as how it exists right now, it's all the same. It's all just, different words for the same meaning. I somehow give you something of value. John, to your point, you were talking about the guy with pellet envy, right? From the earlier podcast where he talked about sponsorships. It might not give me gas in my truck, but if I don't have to pay for the items that they provided, that essentially allows me to have that money for the gas. So it's all a wash in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I happen to agree here in a lot of respects. I think there is a lot of blurriness. I think that it makes a lot of people feel good, or if they have generated some kind of, and I think a lot of this tends to happen on social media because that's where you see a lot of it. And the ethical folks, whether they get stuff for free or not, are using the proper hashtags or saying this is an ad right up front and not trying to pass it off as something that it's not. But it's making people feel really good about themselves. They have a couple thousand followers, and Cheerwine has sent them a 6-pack of Cheerwine, whatever the hell that is. And they pour a glass of it in the video, and they say, oh, and I'm sponsored by Cheerwine because they sent me a 6-pack of this stuff, or you name it. It's free. To me, the bottom freaking line is cash dollar bills. Is somebody giving me money? Now, I will say that, when you get into the bigger donated items, Snake River Farm briskets or Hassel Cattle briskets, or, whatever you want to say, that's a little bit different. But there's a lot of ancillary crap that doesn't really amount to anything. And the other thing to me, aside from the cash, is commitment. With everybody that is on my show, we have an agreement. We will pay me to represent you. I will execute these items. You will go on my website. You will get this link on this page. You will get this link on that page. You will get this link on this newsletter. I will read for you 2 minutes and 45 seconds during the course of the show, or up to a minute as we come in from a break leading into an interview, depending on what. And these are the amounts, and we agree that you're going to pay me to do that. You are finding the value, and that's what I commit to. I can't commit to making people go to your website and buying your stuff, because if I could, I would be really rich and people would be paying for way more than they're paying for right now to advertise on the show. But I commit to you that I will do A, B, C, D, and E, and I can guarantee you that I will do these, and in exchange, you're going to pay me for that. And that's what I think the biggest difference is. It's not getting a can of rub or a bag of charcoal. I mean, that's not sponsored. That's bullshit. Getting cash, somebody believing you, somebody approaching you and saying, we believe in you so much, or we like your brand so much, we're going to give you money to do this. To me, that's what separates the men from the boys, if you will. And there you go. So anybody have a rebuttal to that, or want to follow up on anything?
Yeah, I was curious. Maybe he would tell you, Jack Arnold.
Yeah.
Someone who's definitely an influencer, lots of followers. He has Big Green Egg he always uses, Snake River Farms meat that he's always cooking. He's got, I believe it's truffle hot sauce that he always puts on a lot of his meat, and he's got a Yeti cooler that he always dumps his stuff out of.
Don't miss the most important thing. The Breitlinger watch that's always getting thrown on in the videos too, everybody. Miss that? Oh, that's a sexy bitch.
I would just wonder, is all of that a, hey, we'll give you a free product? Or, is any of that paid on top of that? Not that he would reveal it, but he would be a great guy to ask because, to my knowledge, he's strictly doing social media, correct?
I think he has a day job, but I think he's just doing social media otherwise.
But, no competitions, no World Food Championships, stuff like that.
No, he doesn't do that, but he does a lot of cooking classes. I mean, you see him on tour everywhere giving Big Green. But it's always, as you said, it's always those brands that he is in front of. So to me, I would go out on a limb and say that probably some of those are paying him, and that's why he's only using those things. So, I mean, it's hard to show up with it. John, you disagreeing?
Yeah, a couple of those mentioned names ain't giving anybody any money, but they're getting out a lot of product.
I agree with that. I said so. What I'm saying is, I think some are paying, and I know some are probably donating those for exposure. Because I agree with you, John. There's some of those, especially one, is not a believer in spending any fucking money, no matter what. So, yeah. All right.
Real quick, Greg. Real quick. You know who the perfect example of a truly sponsored person with Doug, all the things that you said, the agreements, I'll do this in exchange for this money, is Dr. Barbecue. He is your poster child for sponsorship. He doesn't work. He goes to big green egg festivals. He has a restaurant that he goes to that he's hooked up with. He is probably the best example of somebody that has turned a career into a money-making career being sponsored by a corporation like Big Green Egg.
I think a better example is Jess Pryles. I think that companies pay her. I think she would much rather be paid. I don't know if she does take stuff. Maybe she does, actually, if you go through some social media stuff. But I think by and large, she's a spokesperson for a small handful of companies that pay her, and that's how she makes the majority of her money. And then she has merch and all this other stuff through her online store, book sales and whatnot. But I think she's a spokesperson, if you will. So, Doug?
I think Danielle is the person. Danielle is sponsored, is an agent for Traeger. She does a lot. She's taught 3,000 people. She's now a woman of Duluth, etc. I think Danielle is the current best example.
Yeah. John, your thoughts?
I think Dr. Barbecue and Danielle are contractors. I don't think they're sponsored for anything. They're contractors and they get paid a fee, and that's what they are. They're not sponsored. Dr. Barbecue is not sponsored to go cook and get out in front of people. He gets paid. He's a contractor. There is a difference there.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Sorry,
but still, he's getting paid to do what he loves, and that's sort of a sponsorship.
All right,
Greg,
John,
was that your anniversary mixtape that just played there?
You're damn right. We're going to hear it here in just a second. John, so give me your best example of sponsored right now. Who's sponsored
today in the world?
Yes.
Today in the world of barbecue.
Yes.
I can't give you an example. Rod Gray is the guy from the day. Is he still sponsored? I don't know. I don't even know where Rod Gray is today. But if someone is getting all their meat from Snake River Farms, I would call them sponsored.
All right.
Yeah, there are some big teams. I think there's those big players. They are sponsored if they're getting a large compensation like meat. That is a large compensated item that you don't have to spend, and that money, if you're not having to spend $175 on a brisket, you can put that in your gas tank. Then we're talking cash. If you're talking $7 bottle of rub, give me a break.
Yeah.
No, that's barter. That's barter.
Yes.
Cash is cash.
Yes. Cash is cash. This for that is barter. No doubt about it. All right. So here's what we've learned. We've decided that this is a murky subject, and it is still really murky. Still really murky. But we tried our best, gang, so that's all I can ask. We have Steve Ray from Ottawa, Tennessee, John Solberg from the state up north. We have Doug Scheiding, the longest-running embedded correspondent from Texas, and there's David Huff right there in Oklahoma, bottom right. Guys, we have done it. We have done another embedded correspondent segment, and we will see you guys towards the end of November. Oh, my God. Away we go. Get your turkey recipes, guys. I'm telling you right now, we're going to need them. That's a weird look for me right there. I got to get out of that one. I got to get out of that look. Holy moly. All right, as I said, in the end, I don't know what we were able to discern, define, or regulate, but it was fun to try and put a pencil on it. We have nothing to disseminate to social media tomorrow and going forward, but maybe we'll revisit again. Or maybe now they're just, words that are being thrown out there anymore. Who knows? The Subway and Arby's recap was tremendous. And the World Foods was better than I thought. We're back to wrap up the show. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. Thanks again to the guys for hanging with me through the embedded correspondents. Steve, David, Doug, and John. And we get ready to wrap it up here. Would love your thoughts if you want to email me or shoot me a note here while you're doing YouTube or on the Facebook on what you think sponsorship is and what it means to you, and sponsored or influencer or whatever it is these days. I'd love to get your insight on that as well. Share it next show. Let's get out all the way back in the first hour. Jackie Milligan talked about her time at the World Food Championships this past weekend, won the Eat Barbecue side of things, came in third on the IBCA, won the Fire Women's Challenge down there as well. How about that? Then we talked with Max Good about the new Kalamazoo Kamado style cooker. And in the second hour, we had the embedded correspondence, why we talked about world food again. We talked about the Arby's and Subway brisket sandwich reviews, and ultimately there was a majority rule on the Arby's sandwich being the better of the two, by a landslide, I might add. And then we ended it by talking about sponsorship and being sponsored and what it means. Big show planned for you next week. The brand new CEO of the KCBS is in, Emily Detweiler, amongst many others. September 11th, 2001, I will never forget, a special birthday wish to my wife, Becky Rempe. Until I see you next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.